Am I safe?
No, my mama said I'm special.
That was a really loud scream.
You're only on episode 2 and we're already getting canceled.
Ah! Hi. Welcome back.
So, welcome to the very Girlypop. We're back with another episode from Very Girlypop.
Yeah, if you can't tell, this is an ADHD episode hosted by two girls who, in fact, do have ADHD.
That's true.
When were you diagnosed with ADHD?
I think it was back in either first grade or second grade.
Really?
Yes.
You got diagnosed pretty early. I'm from a smaller area. It took me a lot longer to get diagnosed. I wasn't diagnosed till about 6th grade, even though it was fairly obvious that I was a little special.
My mama said I'm special. But no, so I was diagnosed back in second, I think it was 2nd grade.
Okay.
Because my mom noticed throughout my years, I was genuinely struggling. I could not pay attention. And then my mom was like, okay, my teacher looked at her and she's like, I think there's something wrong.
Mm-hmm. I wasn't diagnosed till I was about 11. And I don't think I was struggling academically per se. I mean, obviously, I'd get off task. I wouldn't want to do my work.
Yeah.
But, they just chalked it up to kid antics. I think it was the social aspect that was okay, she's definitely a little different from other kids. My lack of paying attention would mostly show up when I was talking to other people.
Yeah.
I would 100% talk out of turn, interrupt people, not realizing I was interrupting people. I'd be one of those annoying kids that would talk about their interests without picking up social cues very well. Yeah. But I don't know. I think a lot of the kids found me weird and I didn't make that many close friends. And I thought it was really funny that my dad has ADHD. And even though it's hereditary, they were just she probably doesn't have it. Come on. You should have got me looked at least a little bit because it's hereditary.
Yeah.
Me and all of my siblings have some form of it. Yeah. I just ended up being the worst. I guess it comes up to the misogyny of mental health. Men are 3 times more likely to be diagnosed than women.
Yeah.
Historically, they thought they were mostly men's issues. Men's mental health would have names for it, and women was all classified as hysteria. No, I'm not kidding. Look up the symptoms of hysteria.
Blindness, emotional outbursts, hallucinations, histrionic? Help.
Hysterics.
No, histrionic.
Histrionic behavior or being overly dramatic or excitable.
Increased suggestibility and loss of sensation.
Yeah. See how there's basically anything on there? And that list goes on to what they would describe as, female hysteria. I don't know, even now it's still hard for women to get diagnosed because it's still considered more of a male problem or not as prevalent in women. And because they studied men for so long, they don't know exactly what to look for when it comes to women having mental disorders.
Yeah, I find that really interesting because my parents chalked up to me getting up and walking around or speaking out of turn because I did that a lot. I got in trouble a lot for it back in elementary school. I remember this very specific memory. We were doing a lab and we were working with ladybugs. But we were just sitting there and my baby brain got so bored. And then I, out of turn completely, just go, this is really boring, right, guys?
Okay, I feel like only you would not understand the social cues enough to announce it to the whole class. Guys, I'm bored, aren't you?
I was a real leader.
That's so you. I would get more in trouble for my hyperfixations. One of my really bad ones is because, I chalk it up to not being very close with the other kids just because, I wasn't medicated at the time. I would really get into reading, and that was my entire life. I think I read almost every book in my elementary school library, which was not big, by the way. But I read a lot. I was checking out a new book every day or a couple books every day.
Yeah.
And so I would get in trouble for reading them during class because what would happen is I'd get so fixated on the book that I couldn't hear the world around me. Yeah. And that was a really big thing for me in school is if I took out a book, someone would have to shake me out of it because I wouldn't know what was going on around me. I'd hyperfixate on it way too much. And that was a problem all the way through 7th grade, but it was really bad in, I would say 5th and 6th for sure. You got any weird hyperfixations that you used to have or ones that you have now?
Okay, so you're gonna have to sit and try to explain to me a little bit what a hyperfixation is because I've heard different definitions for it, but I want to know what yours is.
So I would consider a hyperfixation, and overly excitable interest in something that either would keep your attention for multiple hours at a time, or whenever you get your free time, you would go back to doing that and then being stuck for hours doing said hyperfixation. And like, you know, mine will change every couple weeks usually, but like I've had quite a few in the last few years. They have to do with nerdy things.
Like The Sims.
Yeah, like for some people, their hyperfixations will change like every couple of days. I typically get stuck in mine for like a week, maybe.
Yeah. Okay, so unfortunately, much to my parents' dismay, mine was not reading.
Okay.
I fluctuate between being really, 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 really creative and writing. Because that's what I do. I write all the time. I am our English child in our house.
Yeah.
But I'll also fluctuate between like writing, drawing, and then playing video games. Yeah. Like, that's what I would do. Club Penguin, back whenever I was little, was one. Like, I would play Club Penguin for hours.
I'm, like, trying to even remember what my hyperfixations were as a kid. I think it might have been mostly reading or, like, playing with my dolls.
Yeah.
Like,
no, yeah.
I would spend all of my time doing either one of those things. But now that I have an Xbox account and I have my laptop, so video games are more of my hyperfixation now.
Yeah.
Not like first-person shooter games or anything like that.
I'm a first-person shooter.
Yeah.
Not that.
Gamer? First-person shooter gamer?
Sorry.
Okay, I was like,
there's a word that I'm missing.
I'm like, am I safe?
No. I'm kidding.
Okay.
I have a story about that, though.
Okay, well.
No, don't worry. It's not bad.
Okay, I'm really nervous now. I play more, like, creative games now. My most hyperfixations, though, are definitely Minecraft and The Sims. Like, if I were to pull it up, I definitely have, like, over 1,000 hours in, like, both games. So that's typically my hyperfixations is building in Minecraft or The Sims, just because I have an obsession with architecture.
This is why you're going to school to be an architect.
Right, 'cause I really enjoy it. I was very excited to show my Victorian model in The Sims. Look. I love it. I love it so much. It's so much fun.
Should we move on to the next topic? Which
probably.
Is faking disorders.
Faking disorders. Emily wanted to talk about this one. I don't typically see people faking disorders unless it's like online for attention.
It's mostly online.
Yeah. But Emily has a lot of experience with these.
I am on TikTok a lot. I wouldn't say I'm chronically online because people are like, oh, I'm chronically online. I'm like, I'm really not. If I really wanted to, I could stop.
Well, chronically online is typically a term used for people who get offended over everything because they're chronically online.
Yeah.
So I don't think that you're chronically online.
But like I've seen people on TikTok like fake disorder, like fake ADHD. It's so bad on TikTok because people will like fake like having Tourette's. People love to fake having Tourette's.
Yeah, I've seen that. That makes me sad.
I know. And then like people like will fake having like bipolar disorder or multi-personality. Multi-personality is up with Tourette's, like with how popular it is on TikTok. I don't know about how common ADHD is because like
I don't know if I've seen anybody faking ADHD on there. And I've seen a lot of like people that will like make fun of people who fake the disorders, but then they're ultimately making fun of the actual disorder itself.
Yeah.
Because there's this one video I saw about there's this influencer for autism. I forget her name. Yeah. But she was like reacting to this video of this lady making fun of someone faking autism, and she was just like, there was no reason for you to make this video. It's very offensive, and you think you're making fun of the person who's faking it, but really what you're doing is you're making fun of me and you're making fun of my community because this is what you think we're like.
Yeah.
And I was like really sad to see that.
Yeah, that really is sad. But like I think middle schoolers will go on there and be like, I have depression and I have like all of this. And I'm just like, okay, you need to. If you genuinely think you have it, I wouldn't go around sharing it. I would get like help. Like I would find someone.
And if your parents are like those kind of people where it's like, nothing can be wrong with my baby, absolutely at all. It's not, having a mental disorder or a mental illness isn't a problem. It's a normal part of life. There's nothing wrong with having a mental disorder or a mental illness. I'm Ash.
I'm Emily. And this was Very Girlypop. Stay sweet
and maybe a little salty.
And we'll see you guys next time.